In the gym and in the car, with our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes, and talk about our sexy dates. We host events and go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello, I'm not Mr. H.
And I'm not Mrs. H.
No, we're frauds. This is the Bed Hopper Podcast.
We've snuck in, we've taken over.
This is Secret Stag.
And Secret Vixen.
And welcome to the 200th episode of the Bed Hopper Podcast.
That's crazy.
I can't believe it. You're probably wondering why on earth we're speaking and not the wonderful Bed Hoppers.
Because it's our show now.
Wow, we've just taken it over. We haven't.
No.
We've been invited here by the wonderful Bed Hoppers because today we're going to come in and hopefully ask a few questions, find out a few facts about the Bed Hoppers podcast and enlighten the viewers a little bit onto the ins and outs of the thinking of the Bed Hoppers, and hopefully some fun shall be had.
Absolutely. And we're going to remove the gags from them now as they can finally
That
speak.
sounds quite sexual. What kind of gag are you referring to?
I'm still leaning into the having snuck in, taken over, but fine.
But wearing a picture of my face was probably a lot.
Sorry.
I enjoyed it muchly though.
Bed Hoppers, bringing you in. Thank you for having us on your show today. We are honoured as always to be here.
You're welcome. Thanks for
Who
doing all
are
the
we?
efforts.
Yeah,
Who are you?
I am Mr. H.
You're Mr. H and I am Mrs. H.
My only hope is that at some point before we started talking here, the theme for the interview song has been played, Mrs. H. I have to say, this has been one of my favourite parts of the Bed Hoppers show, and I feel like it's dwindling these days.
I feel like we need a live. No.
No.
What was the problem with the interview song to begin with?
I mean, I don't know if this is a legit question or not, but I need to address it now. But the problem with the interview song, as we all know, is that Mr. H deliberately sabotaged my attempt to sing it by playing it in an octave which was unachievable for my dulcet tones.
If you think I have any understanding of what an octave
You
is,
don't. You actually don't.
I wrote a song and I wrote it so that I could sing it, and then you failed to sing it in the way that I should sing it. So
Because I can't achieve
Don't you call me
that octave that you required.
I like the interview. So I like all of the old jingles. I like Just a Tip. I like that one. I like the original intro.
We all like that.
I like the original intro.
The only
had to
intro,
jazz it up.
the only intro I really don't like is the one that goes, if you're not 18, if you're not 18.
Yeah, the original one.
The
original.
Going
Original,
back into the archives of it all.
Back into the annals of history.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of me singing at the front of this thing. So
Episode 50 was predominantly you singing, I recall.
episode 50.
Yeah, when you wrote a song.
Oh, okay. I
Do you remember writing a song?
I wrote many songs over the course
You
of.
wrote a special song for episode 50.
Did I?
But featured one amazing
I
line.
remember this song.
It had Pokemon in the.
Oh, is
Yoko
this
with
the
the
Billy
condom.
Joel
I was gonna
cover?
say,
Right.
yeah, that-
Okay, I can probably remember it. It goes,
Do it.
Wait, what? Pokemon, Yoko with the condom, flying metal, sausage on it like a tramp on
That's
chips.
the one.
Drinking with our friends all night, we can't ever get it right. Bark, 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 bark. This is just the tip. Is that? I think that's about it.
That's the one.
That wasn't prepared.
Us.
Genuinely.
This brings us all perfectly into what we wanted to talk about today, because there's been so many memories for this podcast, and I think there's lots of people out there who have laughed along to the show, who have shared your experiences and hopefully learned a little bit as well. And we wanted to sort of delve into that today and share some of those memories. So I think, if I may, the first thing I want to ask you guys is, why? Why did you start all of this? Why did you put us through
I'm gonna
this?
answer this
How did it
first.
come to be? What conversations were had? When did you suddenly go, you know what? Let's
I'm
do a
going to answer this
podcast.
first, and you can, feel free to chip in later with
Thanks.
your own version. But my recollection of this is very simple. And I'll tell you for why. So back in the day, we would have many conversations ourselves in the car on long journeys, and generally just like catch up because he's my best mate. We used to like sit and chat for hours. And then one day he handed me a gin and tonic that had ice in it.
Not in the car.
That sounds like him, yeah.
Hand me a drink of gin and tonic, and we'd had a few at night. And he said, "We're going to do a podcast." Me, what's the podcast?
Absolutely true story.
Absolutely. And he stuck this gin and tonic in front of me on my settee, and we sat opposite each other on different settees, because back in the day you just used your phone and used like GarageBand or something.
Yep.
And we sat down and just had a good chat, the pair of us. And I actually found it to be quite fun. And we immediately recorded another episode straight afterwards while we were on it. And so was born the Bed Hoppers podcast.
And how long did the theme tune then take?
Well, the theme tune came a bit later on. I think Thank You for Hopping Into Our Bed came into it quite quickly. And Bed Hoppers, the name, we kicked around that as a comedic thing for a while. But the thing is that I'd listened to, when we started talking about the whole lifestyle stuff, I'd listened to a load of American podcasts. So there's nothing for over here that really relates to what we're doing and what we're seeing. And in a strange way, the sort of American stuff sounds a lot more glamorous because it's in a different country.
Yeah, of course.
It's like different clubs. The people seem to have a club within 3 meters of their house for some reason, but every time we listen to a show. And I thought, well, there's no one actually talking about their own experiences. So hence why I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we did it, because we'd had like a little bit of experience at that point. Not a massive amount.
No.
But it had all gone fucking horrendously wrong. But for the most part, so I thought, well, this is good to share, because it's an entertaining story. And if you can learn from it, then great, that's perfect. If you get entertained by it, that's also good. And that was kind of where I got the idea. So I did give Mrs. H a few drinks, sit a bone down and recorded. And then later on the theme song followed, and it's been revised since. And it's somewhere it's really sad, because there is somewhere in our house a bit of paper on it with a theme song written on it.
Oh, yes.
Like it is the lyrics of Yesterday.
Did you have any idea that you'd still be here 200 episodes in? And what are we now, 3-4 years into the journey of the podcast?
I didn't.
I know it's like
I didn't think
6
you
or
would.
something like this. It's
Wow.
like, it's
Did you think if I can get her through these 2 episodes, that'll be enough?
I thought, like, I didn't quite realize the benefits of doing this. And I think for us, it was like always about let's help everybody else and let's have a chat. But actually the benefits for us have been really that we get to chat face to face and we check in and all this sort of stuff. So like thinking that it would last this long, no, there wasn't any thought that it was going to be like a super long term thing. But as we talked and as we talked and as we talked, the benefits became really apparent. And I love sitting down with Mrs. H and having a chat and slinging mud at her, and and yes, I get that for some people that we joke too much and that I'm patronizing to her. That was a recent review. That was fun. It's not stuck in my brain at all.
Am I allowed to speak yet?
No, I'm still monologuing. You wait until the conch of speaking
I'll
has
take
been
my
passed.
hand off her mouth in a moment.
Exactly, thank you. But all of that stuff came into play, and actually our relationship is core to this, and the fact that our relationship is still going is linked almost intrinsically to the podcast, because it's helped our relationship being able to sit down and chat and have these moments.
So if we don't do the podcast anymore, what does that mean for our relationship?
Well, probably
Are we held together just by strings of narratives around other people's fuck ups?
Almost. I think if we didn't do the podcast, we'd still probably sit down and talk
I
like
hope
we're
so.
hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
Be like, right, tell me what you had for breakfast. Now give me some audio. Right, and now we're going to talk about this. Silence for the talent. These are all things that listeners won't hear about because I cut them out at the start, but people that have recorded with will know about. And then we just chat.
I mean, it's a shame that all our sex is preceded by you saying silence for the talent.
This is true. And imaginary applause that I'm hearing from the listeners. This is what happens. But we were in a car journey the other day, and which we talked about on our last podcast. We were in the car for like a number of hours. And the conversation we had almost descended into podcast chat, because that's our natural way of addressing it. It's almost like, okay, we've put our lifestyle hat on and that's how we talk about it. And we do ask questions to each other like, hey, so what do you think of these people? What do you think of them? How do you think that's going? And we've got into that habit. So actually, I think even if the podcast wasn't around, we'd still have conversations like it was still a podcast.
I think so.
Probably. I can't back that up.
Now, obviously, this being the 200th episode, and you have done obviously a couple of additional bits and pieces on YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
Don't you talk about his bits and pieces.
His bits and pieces. What or which episode? Is there one in particular that just kind of comes to mind whenever you think of a highlight of the podcast? What's your favourite episode if you can pinpoint it?
I always have one that I point new people towards, because when people discover our podcast, I always say, don't listen to the first two, they're just awful.
I love the first two.
It's just us just like, dossing around and finding our feet. And then by episode 8, I have a lot of love for, because that is the Chundamuff episode.
Chundamuff is tremendous.
And Chundamuff is instrumental in so many ways. It's memorable because it was just a right laugh recording it, because it was just a clusterfuck of stuff that happened. And it's not just because it makes you look like a dickhead, although it does a little bit, but also it was just one of those excellent situations where you have to learn from what happened, and the best way to do that is a good old chat about it. But episode 8 was where it all started coming together a little bit, where we actually started understanding what we learned from a situation and what we wanted to share so that other people might benefit from our mistakes. But also it was a right laugh, episode 8. Do you not agree, Mr. H?
So episode 8, I think, is where the show really came together.
It did a little bit.
I think that it's evolved since then, but particularly the really good, I think, early episodes were about us having a problem, us sharing that problem in a humorous way that you can learn from. So if you're entertained and you have a takeaway, a moral of the story, that wins for me. I'm going to upgrade here and give you my episode. I'm going to say, I believe, and I've just did a very quick search.
I did wonder if you were researching.
Yes. No, well, I knew the episode I wanted to talk about.
All right.
But I didn't know the number. I think it's episode 51, which is called the Hot Wifing Interviews. And the reason why that episode means so much to me is that that's kind of how we met you. And because we wanted to talk to a stag and vixen couple, because, it's very popular and very hot right now. So hot right now. And we spoke to a few couples, and you were one of those couples. And actually, just getting in touch with you and having that chat, our lives have changed. And actually, for the better, having you in our lives is a tremendous thing. And I don't think that we can imagine life without you. So, whilst your one about me being sick up a fanny or whatever it is, Mrs. H, was nice. My one is a heartfelt one about how our friends have brought so much joy into our lives. So suck it, wife.
Wow. I agree that was a very poignant episode. I agree. Having you in our lives is just enriched us in so many ways. We're going to take a quick recording break now, and we're going to have sex real quick.
And hopefully not get sick in each other's...
No, I do have one more episode, though, I want to just mention briefly. I think that's the one where I think I talk about menopause. And for me, I think...
The Mrs. H lost her mojo.
Yeah, that's the one. Not because it was a particularly thrilling episode, but because it was it gave you an insight, I think, into the things that we go through sometimes that aren't necessarily related to lifestyle, but they're actually things that can have a big impact on your journey in lifestyle, because it's life-changing, right? And I think it always helps to talk honestly about the challenges you face together as a couple. And we did have such a big outreaching of people, from all over the place saying, thank you so much for just sharing what you're going through. And it's a real taboo topic. Going through the menopause is quite big. And I think, I like to think it helped a lot of people, even if it's just to share experiences of what we were going through and talk about ways that we can maybe help.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's not enough people out there talking about things, and shows like the Bed Hopper podcast give people that guidance, that forum, and, a place where they can talk about things. Yes, you share naughty stories and crazy adventures, of course, but that one really... I remember listening to that one and thinking that you really laid it all bare.
Yeah.
And, there's been other episodes where, Mr. H, where you've talked about problems and things that have happened with yourself. And I know Secret Vixen and I have got the utmost respect for you both and what you're putting out there. And I know people have probably very much appreciated that.
And I think the honesty that you two bring to your podcast is, I think, probably one of the reasons why people have stuck with you for this journey, because if you do have a very kind of frank conversation with each other, and you do dip into subjects that other people might actually try and avoid in their relationships because they know it could trigger a slightly awkward conversation.
But then delightfully, there's episodes like episode 100 And like the recent episode with Penny Lane and Stark,
Oh my gosh.
we may have got a bit inebriated and decided to hit record. So I think, and one of the things, funnily enough, one of our patrons reached out and I said, hey, we're going to be doing an episode with Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. And they went, so episode 200, great. Is it going to be you drink every 3 minutes like episode 100? And I'm like, I think we need to do one of those again. I think this is like, there is a calling out there in the world that suggests that we should collectively do that.
It certainly has its place, and I'm here for it.
I mean, I did just before you press record say we should have had a webcam.
Yes, I mean, great. Just avoiding you folks.
Oh, absolutely.
Just trained on us. So yeah, but I do think there is a need to go back and explore those fun ones, because for every serious one, I think that the ones where we're being silly or something stupid is happening, or we've written a sexy story and Mrs. H is having to say pussy
words.
Yeah, is some of my favourite memories of recording things, and I think we even had an episode where we've tried to distract everyone, and but what I love, some of the episodes that have really dear to my heart, the ones that we didn't even publish because they were so messed up and so ridiculous and so unsalvageable. But the good thing is now that we have Patreon, we kind of, those just get chucked on there. It's like, fuck it. You guys can suffer.
I mean, I already said to Mr. H, depending on how this episode goes, it may just be patrons only, depending on how badly it goes. Mr. H, you mentioned about all the memories you had there. Now I want to talk about guests. You've had so many amazing people come onto the show, sharing their stories, sharing their insights. I won't dare say favourite guests, because that's not fair, but have there been memorable guests that maybe their message touched you? No, you know what I mean? Their message were important, or you felt they gave something a bit extra to the show.
I would also like to just jump in and say that these questions are not designed for you to answer, Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
Obviously. No.
Because I'm aware that could happen. But yes, please be honest, it hasn't got to be us.
I'm aware that you've touched us in many different ways.
Oh my gosh, stop.
And it was memorable. So, I mean, technically it ticks both of those boxes.
That hasn't happened today.
Not today. I mean, yet. I mean, one can live and hope. I think there's been some amazing guests over the years, and you folks have been a delight to have on the show, and you've been honest with your own journeys. And I think I wouldn't want to skip over that, but let's reference it quickly and get on so we can stop blowing smoke up each other's asses for a few minutes. And before we go back to that later on, obviously.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you. So I think there have been some really interesting people that have revealed a lot about their journeys. And I think recently we've switched to interviewing folks for a few episodes. And I've really enjoyed that, because actually everyone is a bit different. Everyone has a little bit of an interesting journey, and from, people that are bi and they're looking exclusively for bi couples, to people where the lady isn't bi and that's their challenge, and people who have had disabilities and have had needed support. People sharing those things is so important for me, because it really humanizes the aspect of all of this stuff. Yeah. And I think that's been really helpful. I think, actually, as you look through the years, it's a collection of people that we've got to know amazingly well and have become our friends for the most part.
I have a few.
You have a few?
I have a few favourites.
Oh, tell us, Mrs. H.
I mean, I say favourites, memorable.
Okay.
One memorable one for me was when we had an interview with the Sapphic Swingers.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
I don't think I've laughed so much in a long time. I really needed that. It was cathartic. It was amazingly
lockdown, right?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just wild in that the things we covered were just so out there and funny. And I came away from that feeling like, I'm so glad we know so many people in different places, and we have an opportunity to share some of the humour and the love that we have for other people. So the one with the Sapphics was particularly memorable for me, because I just had such a good laugh, and I can even now listen to it and laugh out loud as I listen, because it's just so batshit crazy.
See, I recall the one we did with Kate and Daryl, where we had a drink every few minutes.
I was going to say that's one of my other favourites.
And so
not that I can remember much of it.
The hilarious thing about that one is, and I remember it every single day, and I should tell you for why, because we were drinking liqueur 43 at one point, right? We're knocking it back, at sticky substance. And we were so drunk that we pretty much... We missed a day. We woke up and it was like 11:30, and we ordered a Chinese to be delivered to our house at night.
We didn't know what time it was.
But I looked at my remote control next to my bedside table, and that thing was so sticky, I accidentally spilled a shot of liqueur 43 of it. And now I don't have my official nice remote control. I have one of those cheap knockoff biometastical universal things. It every day it reminds me of that fabulous conversation. And all these moments have been absolutely riotous, I think. We've been out and recorded people at events. That's been fun. I think the one we did with By the By in Mexico.
That was amazing.
So we tried, it was in this really, so the floors were tiles, the walls were tiled, and every surface was reflective. So the echo was phenomenal.
No.
So we built up a fort of all of the sofa that we had. Like a child's fort in an attempt to dampen the thing. And while we were recording, the thing fucking fell on us. So there's all these moments that happened. There's so many wonderful people that have been on and have contributed. But I love doing the interviews. And I think the more modern version of that, of us like having guests on to chat to them and kind of getting to know them better, I think has been like revolutionary for me, because I've just loved all of their journeys.
They've been fabulous. Hearing from like Ruby and Cole and others, it's been great hearing from those.
Now, sticking with interviewees, if you could interview anyone, absolutely anyone. I'm not talking lifestyle. I'm talking anyone in the world.
Alive or dead? Alive.
Alive or dead? Let's stick with alive. We won't go to the dark side. Let's stick with people who are alive. Who would you absolutely love to interview? And this is to both of you.
And you've got to tell us what you're going to interview them about as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a favourite. Oh, I'm ready, because I keep saying this, and it's going to happen one day. I'm going to manifest it.
Hang on. Can I just carry out this before you say this? Because I have a feeling I know who this is.
I know you know.
When you say interview...
Hang on.
We just mean interview.
You're not going to do that to them, you dirty woman.
Dirty man.
Interview.
No, this is the way I am just interpreting what Mrs. H is saying.
Let's see what she says.
We'll start with interview. You can hope that it might manifest into other things.
For me, it would be Louis Theroux.
Oh, it's more than an interview.
It's more than an interview.
You don't know me.
Just got to get through this.
It would be Louis Theroux. I mean, there's a number of reasons. For one, I love his interview style anyway, and I like listening to him, and I've watched all the Louis Theroux weird weekends that we used to like power through when we were younger, you and I, Mr. H, and I used to really enjoy that. But he did an episode back in the day for Weird Weekends where he did visit a swinger, not a resort. There was a swinger episode.
Yeah.
And it was devoted to swingery, generally stuff. And I really would relish the opportunity to kind of revisit that with him and talk through back then, years ago. This was the perception that was created around swingers and his thoughts at the time. And I think in more recent times, he's done an episode around polyamory and revisited some of that kind of, those notions. And I would just really love the opportunity to sit down and chat with him about ethical non-monogamy and all that stuff.
We got a surprise for you here today. If only we didn't have the budget. I'm sorry.
I would absolutely love to, chew the fat with Louis Theroux.
I bet you'd love to chew the fat with Louis Theroux.
I really would. I would love to just sit and chat with him. It would be a dream come true to interview him.
You'd be all right with that, wouldn't you?
I would.
I suspect.
Many reasons.
So Louis, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Drop a line.
Reach out. Because obviously you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Obviously you're listening to this. Don't be shy. Get in touch.
So Mr. H?
Oh, see, I'm struggling with who I'd interview, I think, because there's so many people that I'd like to speak to, but kind of from an interview podcast sort of perspective, I think, because I think Louis brings a journalistic approach to it. Do you know what I'm going to go with?
Go on.
And I'm not doing this just to appease Secret Vixen.
Oh.
You have my attention.
So I would like to interview Sir Ian McKellen.
That is the sound we all made. Yes, we know.
National treasure, Lord of the Rings, X-Men, all that great stuff.
All-round wonderful human.
Gay rights superstar.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a fantastic interview.
I feel like he'd be up for it as well.
I think... the interviewer.
The interviewer.
Well, we got something surprise for you.
Comes Ian.
Oh gosh, that would be. I think he'd bring so much because he's lived such a wonderful life, and of course we're looking from the outside. But you can, and we only see all of the good that he's done, not just in the art that he's created, but in the the activism he's done and the wonderful things he's done.
Plus, I can only assume he'll bring Sir Patrick Stewart with him as well.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Now we're
Two
talking.
for the price of one.
That'd be amazing.
We're bored, right, with that? We can do that, yes.
So Sir Patrick,
Fabulous.
Sir Ian, if you're listening,
Yes.
please contact us immediately.
Oh, Captain, my
Yes.
captain.
Oh, that'd be amazing. And we'd give him a cup of Earl Grey hot.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
Hoppers, that's a wonderful answer. I couldn't think of any better people to be on the podcast. Now, you branched out a couple of years ago into creating events. That was something I remember we were, beginning of COVID, wasn't it? Almost before COVID struck, we were very excited.
First event
Like the
was
first
due on the day that we all locked down.
Yeah.
So what made you want to jump from your personal lifestyle one-on-one stuff to the podcast to then thinking, I want to share this experience and create an event? What was the thinking there?
It's pure ego, mate.
Goodness sake, you ruined everything.
Why? Why did you bring your ego into it? It's not enough room.
It's only a matter of time. So for me, as people that have listened to the early stage of the podcast will have heard, there weren't a lot of socials near us that particularly felt like they were our people and our place. And I think we were like, we feel that there is a promised land to the lifestyle of great people catching up together. But that this what we've got now is not it. And we need to find that. And when we couldn't find it, it was like, well, we need to create it. And we talked with various people actually about like, oh, should we join up and let's just run a social. But that at the time felt insurmountable. Like, oh my God, no one's going to create a social. Now every fucker does them every 2.5 minutes. Bastards. But at the time, there were very few in terms of, certainly locally, I think there was like Swarks or whatever it was that we'd been to, and it just wasn't for us. And I think they were sort of slowing those down and stopping them. And I really wanted to create a space where people could get together and just and it be under the sort of ethos of the way that we've approached things, rather than it being all full out like, hey, it's going to be a fuck fest. It was very much like, let's all get to know each other better and let's like hang out and have good conversations.
Yeah, there's a difference between, I think, being new and going to a club for the first time or second time and being the rabbit in the headlights to going to an event that's curated and put together in such a way that it supports you at each stage and allows you to meet people. So absolutely, totally agree with that.
Now, if money wasn't an option, and that's for you hosting events as well as the people attending your events, what would be your ideal event? What
do you
absolutely
think?
love to throw. We wanted to know venue. We want to know theme.
Louis Theroux's going to be there.
Theroux,
Ian
yeah.
McKellen.
I have the thing in my head.
Oh my God, you do?
I do. If money is no object at
It's
all.
not. We've got a case of money here, Mr. H.
And it's no option for everyone attending as well. So
They're all coming.
Come on, blue sky
3 words.
thinking.
Sexy Alton Towers.
What? For our international listeners, Alton Towers is UK, Six
Roller
Flags?
coasters.
Six Flags.
Yeah, okay.
It's like the biggest theme park in the UK.
Okay.
So you're thinking adrenaline rushes.
You got me.
Was
Wow.
like lots of us in there.
junkies.
Are we closing the park to the public here?
Yes, we are.
Yes!
It is-
We
we've
said
got
money's
fucking
no
money.
option.
Yeah. So we are doing a whole because there's a hotel
And we're
there.
at the hotel.
We're taking over the
We're at the
hotel.
hotel.
We're taking
We're
over the
having the
hotel.
Peppa Pig room.
We get exclusive access to Alton Towers for a day. And then we get a nighttime, because the daytime's all the flirting going around, doing the rides,
my
lots
God.
of adrenaline, lots of excitement. And we can all do that like in a group or whatever. And then we all go back to the hotel and it's all sexy, sexy times, right? That sounds good.
I mean,
okay?
wow, I mean, that wasn't
That's
at all what
great.
I
I mean,
thought you were going to
Okay.
do.
forget Louis Theroux and Ian McKellen. This is what I want to manifest.
they'd be
I want to
there.
manifest this.
They can be sat there on a ride with us. Yeah.
Mrs. H.
Mrs. H.
Same
all right,
question.
Okay. Well, for the South Park fans out there, I think I'd like to take over Casa Bonita.
But like a big themed restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine anything more batshit crazy. I mean, it's a perfect venue. It's big. It's being built with love, right?
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
I think it would be a real like wacky out there idea.
I've enjoyed that we've both got delusions of grandeur. It's wonderful.
We said money
But
was
we said money, exactly.
We can bring along the creators of South Park as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to be
I think
fair,
it'd be great.
we can sort of recreate this on a much smaller
Yeah.
scale. We could go, all right, we're going to get like...
Just take
like,
over Harvesters
like,
at some
we
point.
could- yeah, we can
Don't
get like...
you mock the harvest. It's a free salad bar.
And pick
Adventure Island.
The
in
bread will
Southend.
kill her. The bread will kill her.
Bread will kill you.
But I think we could do like a 15, 20 person sort of thing. And then we could all go to like Alton Towers or whatever.
I see.
And then go back to an Airbnb afterwards that is.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, I think there's
Let
a
us
lot-
know
there's
if
a
you've got
lot
an
to be
Airbnb
said.
near the Alton Towers.
Yes,
There's
please.
a lot to be said for combining all the things that we love most about the lifestyle. And a lot of those things really are having fun.
Sex and drugs and sausage
Well,
rolls.
you know,
Basically, it always is about, first and foremost, we enjoy having fun, people.
Yeah.
You know, we don't take it so seriously that it's just one big, like, days of Caligula fuckfest. It is basically, let's have some fun and then see what happens afterwards.
Absolutely. To put a bit of reality into it, we have been to Chessington World of Adventures all together.
We
Basically
have.
the same
And we
thing.
had a great day together.
Yeah,
We did.
a great
And, you
day.
know,
We did.
As you said,
Yeah.
putting that reality into it, taking it away from swinging as the dirty fuck fest from the dirty people being dirty dirties, and understanding that it's just about having fun with
Hang on.
friends.
We've also been to Marwell.
I enjoyed
I
Marwell.
fucking loved that.
That was
what was that
fabulous.
creature that
It
we...
was like a billiton.
That
Billiton.
Marwell
That-
Zoo, just ladies and
I
gentlemen.
want
It's a zoo. Yeah.
What was the creature?
Like a billiton.
Billiton.
That was the sound of everyone opening up their web browser and finding out what the fuck you're talking about.
Billiton.
It was-
Billiton.
Me and Secret Vixen basically then romanticised about the fact that we were going to, you know, in an alternate reality. we're
Again,
going
when
to-
money's no option.
When we've got
Nobody's
money
option.
for
House
and Louis
together,
Theroux's our friend,
a
yeah.
blended reality, and we're actually going to have an animal wing.
Absolutely.
Where we're going to have all of these.
We're gonna have a
we're gonna
massive
have
space
raccoons,
house.
We're going to have cats and dogs and horses and all stuff. But we're also going to have a billiton.
Yes.
Do you remember that on that trip?
Yeah.
That was the day that I had bought the weird alcohol.
That could be any day.
No, Medusa head.
It was the Medusa head.
The Medusa head.
Says the man who's got a bottle of Rolo vodka downstairs
Yeah.
waiting for us as a
Nothing
treat.
bad can happen,
I mean, if
gentle
there's one
listeners.
thing that is always consistent with every adventure we have together, it's you, Mr. H, and your
It is.
incessant
Get them
drive
drunk.
and determination to seek out the weirdest alcoholic beverages and combine it with fun.
I can't even remember what that tasted of. It was,
Berries.
it was blue.
Great.
It was berries.
Did you know we still there is still some left?
It's
Oh my
still one of my
God.
favourite pictures of
It
Mrs.
was-
H,
it
where we're
was
just looking
mixed-
at it, looking very
yeah.
confused and scared.
Mixed berry flavour, and it was a Medusa head.
I remember.
Beautiful bottle.
So if you've
Beautiful
ever
bottle,
if you've ever seen episode
questionable
100
taste.
on YouTube,
Yes.
Yeah.
the Devil's Head is
the
one of the
coffee one.
is the coffee one.
Same.
It's like a companion piece, same thing. The Medusa head is like a grey Medusa head.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
It's
There
very
are
cool.
many imitators to that style, but that's the original.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
original one. That was a delight.
And you do like going on a journey of questionable alcohol choices, don't you?
Yes,
Especially with
yeah.
Secret Stag. And the days when you used to go to the shop together and come back with some.
Oh,
fucking
when you
weird
break the
shit.
force.
yeah.
So
What did you
listeners,
come back with?
listeners.
What?
I'm-
Hang on. I'm being accused of two different things
You
here.
came
You're
back with
both
something very
accusing me of something
strange.
separate. Now, listen, gentle listener, right? Mrs. H is accusing me of going off to the shops
Yeah.
with Secret Stag
Which you
and
did.
buying different alcohols.
Yeah.
That happened.
Secret
It
Stag
did.
is accusing me, I think, of going to the shops and making out with Secret Vixen.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
different
these
thing.
things
A different
happen
thing.
as well. It's a different day.
For one, Mr. H and I have gone to the shop and bought, let's just say, questionable alcohol.
Was it called Bully Juice?
It was called
It was awful.
Bedroom Bully.
Bedroom Bully.
Oh, that was the one.
We drank it though. We didn't become bullies, but we did end up in a bedroom.
It tasted of sadness.
It wasn't great.
No.
But the other thing was Mr. H and Secret Vixen's
Yeah.
for going out to the shops and then I apologise, Mrs. H and I feeling disturbances in the force when we know
Yeah.
shit's going down.
There was a dalliance.
Yes.
We've been accused of many things.
But it
not
was
all of it.
true.
Not all of the time.
It happened.
You were both absolutely culpable.
And this was before
you both-
like other room stuff was allowed. You know, there was kissing happening. Very bad.
You-
Very bad.
This-
Very bad.
absolutely made out in Tesco Express.
Very bad.
Not in Tesco.
No.
How we wouldn't have bought two for
Infinity
free
of Tesco
aisle.
Express.
And-
This is like a gold looking chain album. Like,
very
you absolutely
accused.
did.
And I would just like to point out that actually we are since then we've grown as people,
Yes,
Mr.
we
H
have.
and I,
Yeah.
and we can control ourselves, unlike you two.
Yes.
Team
Oh, wait.
Whispers.
So you just upgraded to like Waitrose instead of you.
I think
When have we done anything?
Hang on, can we so before we start slanging loads of
Mudslinging.
mudslinging and stuff?
Apologies,
I think we probably need to explain that between the four of us, and I don't know if we've done this on the podcast. Team Whispers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What
we
is
just
Team Whispers?
We're a cerebral one.
Mrs. H and Secret Stag here.
Yeah.
We like to take things slow. We like to analyse things.
We
and
like to talk about the mind
see,
stuff.
exactly, look at what's happening in the world.
so
and-
take things slow.
no, in terms of
yeah.
how we approach a situation. We like to analyse it and think about it and talk to each other about it.
We do.
And then there's
We're all
team...
about the cerebral link.
Who was always the first people when we have outings of the four of us? Who are always the first pair to start turning things a little bit naughty?
No. Mind
Just
melding.
talking and without minds.
Mind melding.
Mound melding. Oh my God.
Mind
something very
melding
different.
whilst lips attached.
Look,
Yeah.
put it this way.
Yeah.
There's Team Whispers here. We like that cerebral side of
Yeah, we
things.
do,
And yes,
yeah.
we do like to escalate things because we also enjoy our Team Attitude over here. And Team Attitude, tell us about what you like to do, you greedy fuckers.
That's
Slapsies and knuckles and like
so.
fighting.
I think
Bag of squirrels,
the
you two.
reason Team Attitude as a name for Secret Vixen and myself came about was because I think we kind of like to fight in a way, and we kind of like to battle.
Fight.
I love fighting.
All right, Russell
And
Crowe.
I think if there was a means of getting us into a suit of armor and giving us swords and shield, we'd probably be doing
I
it.
would love to
I'd
joust.
pay to watch
We'd
that.
do it.
Genuinely, if anyone would like to see Secret Vixen joust, please.
We can do it.
Make
We
it
can.
happen
Can you
yeah.
for
not
me.
just get on Gladiators or something?
No,
a horse with a joust.
We
No,
know.
medieval.
Yeah, we want
It's
proper.
medieval shit.
Yeah.
Secret Vixen can wear a wimple.
I think
You can wear a
so.
wimple.
I think in the ideal situation, Secret Stag and Mrs. H are sat in a sort of seating arrangement, probably eating like a chicken leg and drinking like
yeah,
a flagon of
mead.
Mead.
prosecco.
Oh, yes.
Monsters.
The monster.
Whereas
Plus,
us
Secret
two
Stag doesn't like red
are in
wine,
the
so,
mud,
yeah.
like with probably
Swords.
foam swords.
Oh,
Why
I'm saying-
foam?
Because
You don't want to really hurt each other.
oh, see,
solid foam.
yeah, solid.
Okay.
Fine, real steel.
Real
guys.
steel,
I'm
yeah.
more ancient Rome wearing togas, gladiatorial
Oh,
combat
yeah.
side. Are in the pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in the pit.
Either way,
Blood
we're
and sand.
fighting and thrashing at any frustration that we may take out initially in that physical way, and probably then another physical way, I
Yeah,
suspect.
and you and I, Mrs. H, we just get to enjoy the show.
Very cerebral.
Because
we rise
have
above all.
class.
Mrs. H, would you present me with your handkerchief so that I could be your champion?
You don't want a handkerchief now. She's got a cold.
Oh, no,
It'll
no,
be
no, you
disgusting.
keep it.
I should
As she
point out.
flings
Yeah.
it and it sticks to the
Yeah,
side and
no.
slides
I should
down.
point I am suffering from a cold at the
You know what,
moment.
to make this completely personal to the four of us, I do want to say that, you know, through this podcast and through this relationship with you, we love you both and we've had such wonderful memories with you guys. And we want to thank you because Team Attitude and Team Whispers, we are just one bigger team together. Team Secret Hopper. Look at us go.
Okay, right, let's bring it back to the
Bringing
podcast.
it back together.
Let's
Yes.
bring
You
everyone
got the
back
next one?
in.
Secret Hopper?
Do I need to put my cock away now? Is this?
Is she touching? I bet she's
My
touching it,
hands
isn't
not
she?
yet.
are on the table, people. So let's go back to the podcast. Is there a topic that you have yet to cover on the podcast that you would really love to kind of delve into?
Oh, there's a few I'd really like to bring to life. I think we've touched on some of it before. So disability in swinging is something we've talked a little bit about, but I want to handle it with sensitivity and the care that it deserves. And I think it's not something that we can talk about, but it's something that we can talk to other people about. So I would really love to bring that out because it's come up on a number of occasions, and I think it's something that's absolutely there. I think there is more to be done in the people having sort of issues space, like man down things. I think that probably needs like a good, but again, it's hard to get people to talk about that sometimes. So and I think without someone being honest and open about it just feels like we're reading off Wikipedia. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to like someone to come in and talk about it and bring it to life. I think the trans stuff would be really interesting to talk about and sort of, again, because it exists in our world, it's there and it's events, but because our experience of it is very limited, I don't think we would do it justice in the way that it deserves. Fair?
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is one topic actually that's just quite interesting at the moment for me. This does span a little bit in my work life as well, and that's neuro-inclusion.
Oh, excellent.
And so this is quite a big topic. And again, like Mr. H says, you have to do it justice and you can't just like thrash it out in an hour and just hope to sort it all out. But neuro-inclusion, and I think the span over which neurodiversity and LGBTQ and where the two meet are quite interesting. And I'm actually doing something quite similar in my vanilla life with work at the moment around that topic. And it is proving to be quite an interesting, generating generation for discussion. And so there's some schools of thought around, where the two meet, the LGBTQ plus world and neurodiversity. So I think that in itself is quite an interesting topic for debate. Not that there's any kind of right or wrong answers in this. It's just more of a, where are the overlaps, where, how we've met many people who would consider themselves to be in a neurodiverse spectrum. And she's quite an interesting topic.
I think any of those protected characteristics that interact and align with each other, where there's a synchronicity, is quite a useful thing to talk about, because actually no one belongs truly in one camp, where we're all part of different things, and anything that we can do to bring that to life and bring that to, especially given the political landscape out there. Hey, American friends, we're hoping you're okay. But it, like that whole situation with the DE&I, they call it D&I, not ED&I, has sparked a lot of worry out there in the community. And anyone that falls with any of those protected characteristics might feel at risk. So I think anything we can do to talk about them and help support their journeys would be really, really valid. Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why actually when Secret Stag and I were trying to think of questions to ask you today, the reason why we wanted to ask that question is because we wanted to actually make it aware to your listeners that you really do think about the content for your episodes. Like going back to the disability one, I know you've been talking about that for a very, very long time. And it does go to show that the two of you do invest time into this. You don't just kind of go, oh, what should we do today? I know, let's just talk about this.
Well, you said that. No, this is perfect, because we haven't had to prepare for this at all. We just rocked up. Thank you very much for saving us there. And likewise with the interviews, it's great because we have a series of set questions, but I don't want the podcast to ever be these are the people we fucked this week, and this is why it was great. That's pointless.
Humble brag,
it's
right?
just humble brag. I was about to say the same thing.
It doesn't do anyone justice. I think it's important to celebrate things when it goes right, but I think it's as important to talk about why it went right. And if that's a celebration of a relationship, that's okay. But if it's just we fucked a few people this weekend, it was great, we had a lovely time. Why would you listen to that? You can talk to your friends about that and get the same thing, and it doesn't add any value. So I would.
You're doing it then more for you, for other people, and that's not what you should be doing it for.
Agreed. And if I'm then in that space, then I've failed.
Well, with that in mind, then let's say, for example, in an alternative universe, Mr. H and Mrs. H sat down. They decided they were going to make a podcast, but not about the lifestyle, because they're not in the lifestyle. Uh-huh. What podcast would that be? What would the podcast be were it not about the lifestyle?
Come on.
I don't. So I think we could talk about our relationship, but I don't think, and we could probably talk about movies, but I don't think that would be our forte together.
No.
I think you, Mrs. H, would probably like to talk about Pokemon with people that enjoy Pokemon. I think, I have dreams of various podcasts that I'd love to get off the ground. Time is tough and getting to that space. But I'm a nerd at heart. There's a whole, I'm sat here and I'm wearing a Mario t-shirt, and I think there's and Secret Stag is sat there wearing a Marvel t-shirt.
I like the way you just presented your chest.
Yeah,
I was uncomfortable.
There was a bit of a flex going on there. Hey, how you doing, fella? I think that sort of stuff would be a natural go-to for us. And I think now that we've got we can talk happily on a podcast, it would be good to do that. But together, I think it would be relationship stuff, because that's
our frame of reference, I think. And we've spent
gluten-free recipes, maybe.
No, I'd be useless at that.
I know you would be.
I have no input.
You could give the reaction to the recipe.
The reaction to gluten's not great. So.
It would be me going, and this is what I've made. This is how I made it, and then it would be Mrs. H going, it's all right. I enjoyed it.
2 hours later.
No, I think you're right. Our frame of reference, we do span a lot of things together, because we've spent, quarter of a century together. It's a long time. But equally, I think one of the reasons why we get on so well is because we do hold separate interests, and we, as much as we do live in each other's pockets sometimes, we do a lot of things together. We like things independently. And I think
lies, absolutely lies. I've got to send help. Someone talk to Angela at the bar for me, please.
I mean, you hate Pokemon. I love it. So
I don't hate Pokemon. just don't want to play Pokemon
Why
Go.
you like this?
There we go.
I
Why do
have
you hate
heard
me?
of this Pokemon. I had heard you like it. It's like Digimon, right? Same thing.
What I liked,
Piss off, Ross.
Don't poke the bear.
we were out on a little date last night, and Mrs. H was explaining Pokemon, and these folks were not Pokemon savvy, and one of our new friends was kind of like, well, you know, Pokemon, like, is it a thing anymore? I know someone that uses it and plays it, and the look you gave them because of the dismissiveness of the way in which it was talked about was terrifying.
I didn't intend to shoot that look, but it just happened.
Mrs. H is an angel. She would never do that to people. I've never experienced this look.
Have you, any of you, all
What?
of you
Okay.
experienced a look
I
at some
haven't.
point?
A question for you both then.
Have you not?
Which of you has experienced the most Mrs. H
Death
stare back,
stare.
death stare?
Oh, Secret Vixen,
Oh,
definitely.
it absolutely is me.
It's definitely
When did
Secret
I
Vixen.
give you the death stare? You're an angel.
It's something to do with nothing.
Nothing.
Angry.
Oh, wait.
Let's just face I haven't experienced it in this country.
Fata Morgana.
I get the
think
international
you all
look.
on the receiving end
Something
of
to
my
do
death
with
stare.
plugs and anal play. And
And there being no food for me.
This
I
doesn't
can't
sound
even
like the
look her
sort of
in
thing
the
I'd
eye
be
right now.
involved with, to be fair. I am
were
probably fully innocent in
all-
this conversation.
You were all complicit that
I mean,
night.
to be fair, we did
Yeah.
feed her a Burger King afterwards, and she could eat some of that, and we ate all of it. So
It was everything we could all do not to chew up the burger and spit it directly into her mouth just to get the food in there
I recall
faster.
Secret Vixen offering to sit on a bench in the rain as penance.
I did.
She's like,
And-
I'll sit here.
But it was the realization as well that once I knew that the only option of food we had was Burger King, it was then very quickly followed by, oh no, gluten. What is she going to be able to eat? So yeah,
but
there was
the point
fear was real.
the aforementioned butt plug anal play thing did happen. Mrs. H missed her food, and we fed her afterwards, and she was fine. Probably.
It wasn't a break in the relationship whatsoever for
it
everyone
was
involved.
fine.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The important thing is Secret Vixen's body repelled it.
Not
the
the
gluten.
Burger King.
I'm okay with
I think she could just feel the look coming through the woodwork and like, I'm going to repel this. Like, there it is. Pop.
Okay, now, one of the biggest questions that you ask people when you interview them is, what advice would you give them? So,
Before you do this,
okay.
you're about to give us a top tip. If you don't play just the tip music,
Can you
now,
resurrect it?
Yeah, I've got it
I
somewhere.
know he's got it
I've got it
somewhere.
somewhere.
So
Yeah.
we're going to pause for a second
So
because
insert.
Doesn't matter if you're old or young, listen up for some sexy fun. We've got advice, so let it rip. Don't go balls deep, cause it's just the tip.
Okay.
right now we're back.
The question is, you will often ask people what is their top tip for the lifestyle. What is your top tip for people who are going to record a podcast?
Communication. Still communication. I don't do it. Don't fucking do it. None of you bastards are going to be this good.
Thankless task.
So for a podcast, I think that it's offering your own take on it. If you're not providing something that's different to what is already out there and your own voice, then it's no point. If you're just going to copy everyone else, it doesn't add it. And I think we fell into that trap early.
We did.
We did the, hey, what are you drinking? Hey, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on.
You're
So
just parroting other people.
yeah, I think just
Make
your own
it
thing,
about
yeah.
your own.
And, you know, we did the whole, what are you watching? That was slightly different.
That was different.
Yeah, no one
That
else has
was
done
different.
that.
Sorry, what?
We did this, yeah. We did
in
what
the
are you
early
watching?
days when we recorded on the settee.
We used to call the
opposite each
living
other,
room.
TV,
Yeah.
when
We
we
would
would
have
voyeurism. Okay,
we would
fine.
have
Carry
a
on.
film in the background. It was turned down, obviously, but we just had the screen in the background, just distraction. And we would always, what are we watching today?
The challenge was it always had to be something that we'd seen and that we didn't have, that we wouldn't get dragged into watching. And the problem is that like when you go with those classic films, you're like, I'll just chuck Jaws on. It's great. It's a great film. But you don't have to watch it because it's Jaws. You've seen it. And then I'm like, fuck me, Jaws is really good.
He's sticking the slurry into the water.
Yeah,
and
yeah, you're like-
yes, come on, Chuck.
Yeah, so
wanna watch
you'd never go
Jaws now.
swimming with bow-legged women. And I'm like, fuck me, I'm invested. Fuck you, podcast
Yeah, look at this
listeners.
scar.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah.
So
Show me the way to go home.
I think you're right. We did fall very much into the parroting because it's tried and tested with other people, and you think, well, that's what people want to hear, maybe. And we did fall into the what are we drinking, and we would make sure we had a drink, and we would like talk about what that was. But actually, what made us unique, I think, was our spin on things.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I think my advice to people starting a podcast, and I am a member of various Facebook podcast groups. I'd have never guessed. Yes, as well as some lifestyle groups as well, which is always a wretched hive of scum and villainy in those things. But my advice to people is to be prepared for people being like different, having different opinions of what you're doing. You're not going to be for everyone. You can't please everyone. I know. And I struggle with that myself because I want to make sure everyone's happy. I want everyone to be along for the ride. I want people to get value from stuff. But no matter what you do, you're not going to please everyone. So it's building a level of resilience for that thing. Like, be yourself, absolutely. And as long as you're being you, it doesn't matter if people don't like it, because the people that do like what you're doing are really going to be true to you as well.
I've got some more advice.
I was about to say, Mrs. H, as the mastermind behind the podcast.
Absolutely. Secret brains
behind
the
the
podcast.
Absolutely.
I was going to do a sex on you, Secret Vixen, and now I'm
say
with...
the face on it. Wow, that changed.
I am the secret brains behind the podcast, as we all know.
She is the queen of the Queen Whispers.
And I rarely listen to podcasts, because I just don't have time. And also
You don't even listen to ours.
And also because my car doesn't have the capability to actually play anything other than...
Is it like the Flintstone
Greatest
car?
Hits Radio. So there's that. However, if I were to listen to podcasts, this would be my advice. I cannot abide listening to people just reading out stuff from notes. That's enough. It's guaranteed to make me
I love it
switch
in
off.
an intro. I love it. It's great.
I hate it.
Hey, thanks for joining Generic Podcast 101,
Yeah.
Springfield.
Yeah. I can't stand the prescriptive nature of, you're clearly referring to some notes and you're reading. Stop it. I don't want to listen to this. I want to hear your thoughts, opinions, and I want to hear you. I don't want to hear you reading some script. So for me, it would be very much refrain from that. If you're going to start a podcast, don't read some parrot scripted notes.
Fantastic.
Nice.
I love the fact that the podcast landscape is big enough and old enough to have a variety of stuff. And so the chances are you're going to find something that works for you. But what I would do is, if you're starting something, you listen to those things and have a think about what are you going to offer that's different? And what are you going to do that is your unique spin on it? Is it that you're more funny? Is it that you're quicker? Is it that you are more sexy or more sexual? Or is it whatever it is, something a bit different? Because if you're just copying someone else, it's just going to be very dull for listeners.
Oh, there's something else that really gets my tits,
go on.
actually.
That could be anything.
Lay it on a
Secret chopper.
Get to the secret
chopper.
The other thing that really gets my tits with podcasts is when I accept that they're a necessity for some people, but they're like adverts, sponsored adverts. I cannot abide it. It is guaranteed to make me just like switch it off.
Disagree. I
get it completely.
They have their place because... Sorry, go on.
Well, I get so bored of it, and I don't want to listen to this. I spin on, and then I just end up switching it off. That's just my preference.
I think as a listener, I think if you're not paying for a podcast, then actually,
you should do penance and listen to the sponsors.
Yeah,
maybe.
You should.
I
think,
don't.
I know you don't. Well, you would fast forward if only you knew how to play it. But this is the thing, and I think the podcast is time consuming. Let's be fair. And I've said this before and recently, we've recorded nearly an hour of material. You may only say 35 minutes on your timer, gentle listener, because we've cut so much of this out. But I'm joking.
How dare you cut it?
It's all me, darling. It's all me. If you record an episode, it can take an hour and a half to record that. And then someone's got to edit that. And even if you go through the whole AI process of editing and sorting out the quality, you still actually physically have to listen to it and do whatever. So a typical episode for us, like an hour and a half interview, takes about anywhere between 3 and 6 hours for us to, and I say us, for me to edit.
I was about to say Mrs. H spends
Mrs. H
a long
works
time.
very hard.
Don't you take that away from her.
No, I don't think she's ever listened to an episode. Like, she'll listen to an episode once it's published and it's live.
Episode 8.
Yeah. The funny thing is that she'll, like, particularly if you're going on a plane journey, she'll be like, "Oh, I've just listened to this episode. It was really good." I'm like, "Thank you for all of the effort." So, but the planning that goes into it, the recording, the setting up, the editing, the publishing, it all takes time. And
you're welcome.
Thank you, dear. I think sometimes, you can expect, if you're putting in a large amount of effort, it might be, I don't know, 6-7 hours in a fortnight to deliver a podcast that people don't pay anything for. So there is an actual cost to it, to the people that are supplying it, and you pay for the hosting, all this kind of stuff. So there is a thing of, look at what you can provide, look at what you can do, and look at what you can do to be different rather than just.
Get that. But from an end user perspective, I just don't listen to it.
You don't want to hear about Grammarly.
I don't want to hear about it. I know. I just end up like, okay, I don't want to hear this.
If you were interested in sponsoring the Bed Hoppers, Mrs. H doesn't listen to it, so you're
fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm
You're
actually,
fine.
and the other thing, the one final thing that I would say refrain from if you're going to start a podcast.
And what really grinds your gears?
Thing is going in podcast
Oh my God.
101.
Oh, fuck, we've descended into a room 101. It was only a matter of
Oh
time.
my gosh.
You know what? I know that the granular detail might mean something to you, but if you're going to reel off like exploits for people that mean something to you, happy days. But I don't know who they are. So for me, I'm like, I'm dead. I'm lost.
It's a tricky balance because if you're talking about your weekend experience or whatever, and you're talking about people that no one knows, you need a frame of reference.
Yeah, where is this going? I don't know who these people are.
I get it. I think the thing is you need to frame that in the right way.
Yeah.
I think, and that's why we've tried to always have the moral of the story rather than the names be important.
Like He-Man or Jerry Springer.
Yes, in today's episode,
absolutely.
we learned that Orko should share better or whatever it might.
It's
half the battle. It is. It's so true. But if your retelling is just an exploit of what you got up to with no real learning or take out of it, then it's not for me. But for other people, they just like the titillation, they like the sexy story, and I think that's the thing.
Don't yuck someone's yummy.
So, Mrs. H, with that Jerry Springer comment that you just made, it does bring us to our last question.
Final thoughts.
Go on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Before we get to that one,
okay.
I've just thought he spoiled something.
cuff.
He's not just a pretty face, ladies and
They
gentlemen.
spoiled something I was going to say.
oh,
What are you drinking today?
a fine champagne.
Well, do you know why you say champagne? Because I think 200 episodes down, and hopefully many more, deserves a little toast.
I will toast it to the finest Aldi champagne known to man.
Because I think, Bed Hoppers, you've hopefully touched many people's lives and
Nicely held.
hopefully shared some laughs, shared some knowledge. And we're happy to be even a very small part of it.
Absolutely.
And if you have a message out there for the listeners, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Go on then, Mrs. H.
Or Mrs.
Oh my God.
Spotlight.
A message for the listeners.
A nice one, don't be mean.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but I'm done. Okay. I mean, I actually do have something to say. This is very much Mr. H. This is his work. This is what he does. And I don't say thank you enough to him because he does all the work. I just turn up.
So true.
Throw shade at people, like give you a hard time. Sometimes add value, sometimes I take away, who knows. But you do this. You this is like your love language. You put everything into it and I'm actually super grateful for what you do. You do a fine job, babe.
Thank you, dear. And
when you can't be able to do it anymore, I'll just carry on.
thank you for turning up. It's been
Me and Secret Stag, we're going to get our
We
own
got plans
podcast.
to think.
Fantastic.
That does not surprise me in the slightest. Those whispering bastards over there on the other side of the table.
I think the listeners need to appreciate just what a brilliant job Mr. H does.
I agree.
Because
They should.
I don't think people understand just how much it takes up sometimes, and I don't give you enough credit either. So well done, you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. My take is that if this is your first time you're tuning in, fucking good luck.
Go
go straight down to 51, and then anything beyond that
Anything
is
in between.
fucking bonus sauce, right? I think it like if you're starting out in your journey, and if you're just tuning in to kind of go, hey, I fancy this thing. I would like to see my partner with somebody else. Or, oh, this could be naughty. I would say take what you can from it, because like not everything is going to give you everything that you need, but actually staying around for the ride and dipping in and kind of feeling part of a community is really important. So go with that and try not to take it too seriously and try and have fun with it.
Oh my God, I say that all the time. Have fun.
Have fun.
If you're not
Yeah.
having fun, then why are you doing this?
You get to run the race once, so
If it's making you, a bit twitchy and you're not having fun and you're stressed and it's taken away from your life in some way, then don't do it. But have fun.
Okay, so I don't need to do the podcast anymore. This is great. This is the end of it.
And this, so thanks for listening.
Record
folks.
scratch and
Really sorry, listeners.
What did you
We've been waiting
do?
for this to happen.
Team Secret fucked that up for you.
It's now the secret. The secret.
We're taking the equipment home.
Just like that, it became a Secret Stag, Secret Vixen show.
So that does bring me back. The having fun in the lifestyle
Yeah.
brings me back to the question that we did circle around and then we deviated from beautifully, I must say, Mr. Secret Stag, well done.
Why, thank you.
Mrs. H,
Yes.
tell us a joke.
You got
You didn't even say that to the end bit. Shit out.
No, we wanted an impromptu, unprepared. If you could see her face right now, listeners, she is aghast.
I am aghast.
Anyone have a joke?
Anyone have a joke? Mr. H, surely.
I don't have a joke.
Master of puns, surely.
I mean, I have the amazing joke that Secret Stag bestowed upon me
Do it.
recently, but no, I can't do that one because it required theatrics. It was all in the theatrics. It was amazing.
The one we
And I
called
fell
you the
for
other
it.
day.
You called
Yes.
me. Oh my God. And I fell for it so hard.
It was wonderful, people.
It was wonderful. And I look back now and think, damn it.
I called her and said, Mrs. H, Mrs. H.
This is as good as a joke.
Have you heard? It's terrible, terrible news. There's that actress. She's been stabbed. Have you? Oh my gosh! Have you heard? What's her name?
She was in Legally Blonde.
No, yeah, it's Reese.
No,
Reese.
Oh, and I was like,
Reese.
With a spoon?
No, with a knife.
I feel like I've just been acted to. Someone's done an acting on me.
I mean, this is better than any joke I could have come up with because
It is.
this happened.
I said I have a
Dear
joke.
listeners.
I need a person for this joke. Secret
But
Vix
you
was
made
like,
it
I know the
sound
person.
so dramatic. You messaged me privately, which I always like go,
It was
oh
a
my God,
video
what's
call.
happened?
We did it via
a
video
video
call.
But he messaged me privately first and went,
Can I call you?
I need to call you. I was like, oh my God, I'm here. What's happened? I need you. And then he called me and I fell for it so much.
This is true. This is
did.
what happens.
Fine
was
people at BAFTA.
Completely invested.
Yeah.
I even I went into it fully. I gave him what he needed without even knowing. I was
I
like,
was not an original. I
with
stole
a
it.
spoon.
I stole it from the Tinterweb.
Doesn't matter because I am very susceptible. as we
To
know.
any kind of bullshit that we can throw each way. I think this is known. I do fear for you going to Thailand because you've got like yes, you have a week with Daryl.
Yeah.
And Daryl has made you believe that drop bears
They're real.
exist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did put toothpaste on your head.
You did.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a Thailand podcast?
Oh, yes. You've got a little mic. Take that.
Poppers on tour?
Yeah, so
Maybe.
I'm chronically accused of overpacking, but
You already overpacked even like virtually and we've not even started yet. You're taking a karaoke machine and 5 pairs of shoes.
They would
We don't
be
need
essential
these things.
items.
We
in
don't
what
need any
universe?
of these things.
Yes, I need.
You don't.
Right, okay.
You don't need 5 fucking pairs
Let
of
me
shoes.
elucidate here. So I need going out shoes for like a night out.
For one night.
Yes, I need trainers so that I can go to the gym.
Yeah, you can get fucked. This is
You're on
absolute
holiday.
bullshit. You don't
Hollybobs.
need. You don't need these.
Like I want to maintain my level. So we have
What gym?
we have
What gym?
at the hotel for
Why?
the first 2 days.
You're going to be hungover to fuck. Why
Not
are
the
you
first
going
2 days. I'm not.
Maybe.
That's us
Oh,
two.
well, we're gonna see
It's
about
just
that.
us two. So, but we also have Cap Dag to go to, where I'm required to be naked.
July.
Facts.
I'm naked. I need to be in good condition for that.
Have a week off, man.
No, fuck you.
He's Mr. No Days Off.
No days off.
No days
No,
off.
I can
Every
enjoy
day's arm day.
If
Go barefoot then.
No, I'm doing that. So, but I need.
anyway,
I've got my
this is-
sliders.
This
so
is
that
pair
am I,
3 you are on
Yeah,
now.
sliders. I've also it's a very sad thing, and I was going to tell you folks about this earlier, but the conversation went to so. I have ordered a pair of Vans that are like Crocs.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Really,
they
Secret
are.
Vixen, I'm not lying. They are like Crocs.
and they're
yellow.
yellow.
But they've yellow.
Yellow, yes, yellow.
Yellow
This-
/ Crocs.
It's going to be great. It's going to be all fine.
It's
so,
a look.
So that's pair 4. We're on
and-
already.
pair 5.
did I say the smart pair already? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
And then just walking around trainers. 5 pairs.
We're going for 11 days.
Yes.
2 of those days, we're going to be on a fucking plane. Why do you need 5
That's
pairs of
perfect
shoes?
for Vans.
Yeah.
Or
Why?
Crocs.
Van Crocs is
Why
fine.
do you need 5 pairs of shoes?
Friends.
Because of all the reasons I've explained.
Oh my God.
It's fine.
No.
I don't know why you're so
And the
upset.
karaoke machine.
Yes, the karaoke machine fits in the palm of my hand. Everyone.
So at this point, Secret Stag and I are going to just hand the podcast back over to you two.
So I have one or 2 questions for you folks before we round it up
This
because
is
I
not
feel
part
this
of
was
the
not
deal.
the
this is not part of the deal. Oh, you've all gone gold blue.
Oh.
So I have some interesting things that will just round up the show and take us into the exit point at which we can carry on and have our normal day.
Excellent.
Right.
I want to know, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Total Eclipse of the Heart
Yes.
with Mrs. H.
Yeah, it has to be with Mrs. H.
It's got
She's
to
not
be
allowed to
me.
sing it with
I don't
me.
sing it with anyone else.
She's actually
I haven't.
she
I haven't.
has taken it off the karaoke machine.
Yeah.
Yes.
When he's not around.
I have a
have
fantasy
to
about
do it
her
with
dressing
him.
as Bonnie Tyler, and I'm going to dress as one of those the weird guys in
With
it.
the bright lights.
With the bright
I'm
eyes.
definitely going to wear a shirt and tie. I'm going to wear a shirt and tie, and my eyes are going to be all like flashy.
I'm erect.
Yeah, totally.
Cigarette Vixen?
I like to go to my millennial roots, and
Okay.
I like to go for a bit of Avril Lavigne.
I knew
Very
you'd
you.
say that.
Very you,
Also
baby.
a shirt and tie.
Yep, a thin
Yeah.
kind of
Are we talking
skinny
Skater Boy?
time. Skater Boy, complicated.
Complicated.
I think that
Great.
describes me perfectly.
Chill out. What you?
That's great. And
Mrs.
you
H?
missed. Oh, I had Tickets for Heart.
Oh, is that what
That
you're
is
going?
their song. We
one
don't
in
have
mind.
a song.
We're
What?
just one now.
I think you'll find that we enjoy a number of songs.
We do, to be fair.
I think my love of the year 3000 by Busted is appreciated by all.
Yes.
I think Teenage Dirtbag has been appreciated by all. So
The goodie.
do you like a Disney song though?
I do like a Disney
Disney
song.
song.
Everyone does.
Though if it is just Secret Stag and I think I'm on a boat.
On a boat.
I got my
Well-
flippy flops.
I'm
Yeah.
doing flips and shit and getting everybody all wet. So there's all that. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So we want to know, final question, what lies ahead for the evening?
This evening,
Before we close out, before
Well-
we get Mrs. H to do the thing.
we've got Louis Theroux's turning up in about an hour.
Nice.
And then Ian McKellen.
Absolutely.
Nice.
We don't know about Patrick
We
Stewart, but
haven't
we are
heard from his
assuming
people.
so.
Is he engaged?
He's got the tickets to Alton Towers ready.
Oh, and Casa Benita. Oh, yeah.
We are going to finish off these glasses of champagne and celebrate this Bed Hoppers podcast. Then we're going to get ridiculous and we're going to drink this Rolo vodka.
Oh, Lord, help
Well
us.
done.
There's a Fortnite event.
Oh,
And we're
yeah.
going to play a
Yeah.
Fortnite event. And battle shots.
Battle shot.
Oh, I think Battle Shots could be good.
We've got the Rolo vodka, so, you know.
Battle Shots
Yeah,
was
but-
fun before.
We've
That's
chosen
life-size battleships
and
for
the
those who need
pets
to
can
know.
get involved with that.
Absolutely.
Even though we don't ask
Cigarette
to.
Vixen,
Inclusive.
what are you going to do then?
I then hear we're watching John Wick's.
Hearing, watching John Wick.
Number two.
Do we go straight in with John Wick like next? I think that feels like a next thing.
Nice.
John Wick next.
John next.
And then maybe do a sex on each other.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to that, fella. Thank you.
Oh.
I'm so glad you took it. That's why I
There was a wink there.
He knew, he
So,
knew.
I know,
He's the
I know.
receiver.
So ordinarily, Mrs. H would do a thank you for hopping into our bed.
Well, I'm always grateful.
But do you folks want to take it? You've done
Oh.
so well hosting.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
No, this is the 200th episode.
No.
Hey, can we do it in a round?
No, because we won't be.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Oh, this is complicated.
Are we going to do it as like in our,
Right.
So we're
in
gonna-
our
we go-
suit?
I'm doing it from
do
so.
it?
I was going to go with thank you and thank you,
Oh,
and yeah.
I don't know. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
follow.
All that from the do
I
your
can't
thing bit. We have to do that
follow
bit.
this.
Well, shall I
Miss-
start doing the thing?
Okay.
I'm going to do the thing.
What?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's not what we meant.
Just instantly, I'm sorry, I went to use
Oh,
my
Lost
letter.
me.
So what are we just saying thank you? We're not singing. Why did you sing it? That's why I then
All
went.
right. So thank you
No.
for hopping into our
No, what's the Dundee Warhols version?
I buy the greatest records. They're great.
You know what? Fuck you. I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Off in the way.
200th episode.
Fuck you, San
Signing
Diego.
off.
Oh,
There
that's
might
the
be
one.
another episode after this. We don't
Fuck
know.
you for
This is
hopping
it.
into our
It's
bed.
ended.
Right.
Right. Thank you for hopping into our bed.
Right. We are recording now.
10 seconds of silence.
Why do we do the 10 seconds of silence?
Because
the
you
10
say
seconds
you need
stop.
it.
But now the 10 seconds starts
Because
again.
you need.
You don't know
Are you
why.
going to go, I'm not Mr. H?
Yes.
And I'm going to go, and I'm not Mr.
Of
H.
course I am,
Okay.
'cause I'm not
I just
Mr.
thought we
H.
had to prepare this. Sorry.
10
Good.
seconds of
This is all
silence.
bonus material at the end.
Just stop. 10 seconds of silence.
All right.
You can't count.
Can't have heard him.